This week, I'm talking about practice and just sort of breaking down my philosophy behind how much you should practice, how many arrows you should shoot when you practice, and types of practice that you can get into. It's that time of year. We're almost in hunting season. It's the most crucial part of the year. As I record this, it's August 14th, so there's 2 weeks till season's open here. I don't want to be messing anymore with anything. I just want to be shooting purely for confidence sake. So early in the year, when I start shooting for the year, kind of, late winter, early spring, I focus entirely on blank bailing. I'm going to be in my shop, shooting at 5 yards or less, covering my sight with a piece of paper or cardboard, and shooting at no spot on the target, just a totally blank target. What I'm working on with blank bailing is my form. So I'm focusing on everything from my body positioning, my draw, my front shoulder position, my elbow, my hand position, my anchor points, my release, everything. I'm focusing on literally everything in my shot except for aiming, because nobody needs to teach you how to aim. I can point right at the camera like that. I'm instinctively aiming, and no one had to teach me how to do that. When you throw a baseball to your friend, you're instinctively aiming, and no one had to teach you how to do that. When you only practice archery at a range, shooting at a target, you tend to focus more on aiming than you do the rest of all the important things that go into your shot. So that's where blank bailing comes in. It removes aiming from the equation and allows you to focus on shooting, not aiming. So I do that a lot through the winter months when it kind of sucks to go outside. I'll throw in the odd snow shooting session, but not that much. It's mostly blank bailing. When spring rolls around, that's, get out, sight in your bow, or check your sights if you're not changing anything on your bow. That's when it's okay to do some more high repetition shooting, get your strength and stamina back, which it should be pretty good just from blank bailing. But sometimes when you get into the longer range shooting and now you're starting to aim again, your shot sequence can take a little bit longer, so you can get fatigued a little quicker just from holding full draw longer and more frequently. So through the spring months and the early summer, I do some longer 100 or 200 arrow shooting sessions, and I'm not doing these every day, a couple times a week. That allows you to have a lot of really good days. You're gonna have some bad days in there, and on those days, I don't think it's a problem to shoot through some of your bad days. If you know you're shooting bad, take a break, go to the truck, have some water, whatever you need to do, and stay and work your issues out. When that type of philosophy changes for me is when we get into the late summer and like now and the last couple of weeks, when we're only, a month out from season. I'm focused then only on making good shots and not a lot of them. I'll go out every couple of days right now, and I'll take the first shot I ever take in a day is always at a random range, usually 67 or 54 or 38. I usually stay a little bit further back, closer to 70 yards, and that one arrow is your biggest one because that's the only one that counts. That's obviously what hunting is like, right? So I focus on that arrow. That's the only one I care about now. And then, depending on how that one goes, usually it's good. I'll take a few more, always at different ranges. At this time of year, I'm never standing at 50 yards and shooting 5 arrows, ever. I shoot a different range every time. I do a lot of, one arrow at each range. So I'll start at 70, one arrow, 60, 50, 40, and then I'll go get my arrows and I'll go 50, 60, 70, 80, that kind of thing, just to keep changing it up. And, you have more time between each shot. And if I go out and I do that and I take 10 shots and they're all money, I pack it up and go home. There's no reason to keep shooting. You can't shoot any better if you're having a perfect day. The only thing that can happen is your form starts to break down. You make one bad shot, it screws up your confidence. You don't want to do that. You always want to end on a perfect arrow and go home on that high note. That is so crucial for confidence. To break this down in its simplest form, the 2 arrows that you need to be focusing on right now in this time that we're just about into hunting season are your first arrow of the day and the last arrow of the day. Of course, I want all my other arrows in between to be just as good, but that first arrow and that last arrow are your crucial ones for confidence, and confidence is going to mean more than anything going into the hunting season. Of course, you need your gear set up, you need to know you're sighted in, all that stuff, but confidence is just absolutely massive. Now, Another thing to mention at this time of year is shooting broadheads. As soon as you start shooting fixed blade broadheads, your form needs to be that much better. I saw it the other day. Myself and Zach Hayes were out shooting, and we had a long day. We were setting up tree stands, and it was just a long day, and we were tired, and we decided to do some shooting at the end of the day, and neither of us were shooting very good. Um, Nothing changed on our bows, but we were shooting broadheads and just having some erratic flight. I know there's nothing wrong with my setup. We were tired, we were fatigued, hand position would have been off, maybe dropping the arm, rushing the shots a little bit. That stuff matters so much. So if you're having a day where you don't feel strong, you don't feel like you're going to have a perfect day of shooting, just don't go. Because I wish we didn't shoot that other day because we weren't shooting good. But we learned and saw firsthand just how important it is to never let those fundamentals go, particularly your hand position, your shoulder position, consistent releases, not dropping that bow arm too early. Those things we end up taking for granted because they become muscle memory. You do them automatically, especially when you've blank bailed. That stuff becomes so automatic that when you get tired and you've just set up a tree stand and you haven't eaten dinner, you start to let some of those things go. So it's just really important to keep that stuff in mind. Every shot should be treated like it's the one that matters. And at this time of year, that's how you need to be practicing. I don't think you need to be shooting 200-300 arrows in a day right now. I think that probably does you more harm than good. It's going to fatigue you. It's going to start to throw your muscles out of balance. That happened to me. I mean, I've trained archery for more than half my life, and it's basically excessively training one side of my body and not the other. And I've ended up with some issues because of it. So you just don't want to over practice. If you're shooting good, stop. There's no need to keep going. You've already proven to yourself what you can do. I hope this helped. I hope you guys like watching this. If you like this kind of content, you got to check out my podcast. It's called The Let Off on Apple, Amazon, and Spotify. It is this stuff, but just way more in depth. And that's where I'll be answering all the questions that come in. If you want to write in a question, write it into theletoffpodcast@gmail.com. And I will be so happy to answer it live for you on the show and give you a shout out. Also, check out the Let Off Signature Series arrow wraps from Perth County Archery, and you can shoot the same arrow wraps I do and rep the podcast. And of course, I really appreciate all the support you guys give me with all this stuff. It means the world. Thank you so much for watching.